As we land together in our seats, you could say that there are essentially two layers to our moment to moment experience. On the surface, we are aware of various details, and each moment is made up of a unique configuration of details, be they sounds, sensations, sights, smells, tastes, feelings, thoughts. And these details are ever changing. No two moments of our lives are the same. And surrounding the details, beneath the details, within the details is the second layer of our experience. And that is something that is often called presence. And it's the only thing that's not changing. The same presence that is holding space for your experience now was holding space for your experience this morning, will hold space for your experience tomorrow, and was holding space for your experience as a newborn. You could say that meditation is a practice of orienting to presence, of letting go of the details for a while, and of resting in and as presence. But how do we get there? How do we get around the details? How do we let go of that grasp that we have on the details? The compulsion to manage the details. But one of the ways of doing that is through the very details themselves. The first commitment would be to be still. And not just physically still, but to sense that there is a choice moment to moment as to whether we engage with the details or whether we just allow them to be. So to be still is kind of an inner stillness that feels like a vertical alignment in the here and now. So even though there's a lot of movement of sensation and thought and whatnot, there is also a stillness here. And so this invitation to be still can help us to orient towards the stillness that is always and already here. And can remind us to let go of moving towards the details for now. So the next invitation really assists our capacity to be still, and that is to allow everything to be as it is. So in the midst of the moving and changing, there's an invitation to practice completely letting go of control. And we can start with the breath. So connecting to the breath in this moment and practicing allowing it to be exactly as it is. Really getting curious about the nature of the breath when we're not controlling it, when we're not analyzing it. Letting go of any concept of what breath might ideally feel like. And instead just getting really curious and available to the dance that the breath is dancing now. And we begin to have the experience of the breath moving within stillness. And we get to notice for ourselves that both stillness and moving breath can coexist, are coexisting. We get to experience ourselves as this still presence. It is simply watching life moving. Life moving in the form of breath in this case. And one pointer that might be helpful for you is to notice that at the end of the exhale, before the breath turns back around and becomes the inhale, there is a very brief pause, an actual moment of stillness. And so you can highlight that with your attention. And at the end of the inhale, it is the same, where there's a moment of stillness before the breath turns around and becomes the exhale. So let yourself experience those moments of stillness within the rhythm of the breath. And awareness may organically expand to include other parts of your experience. Perhaps different sensations in the body. Perhaps the flow of thoughts. And we continue practicing here too, allowing all of these details to be as they are. It's a radical commitment that goes against our most ingrained habits to allow things to be as they are. But it is the only way to discover what it is that God and life want for us by getting ourselves out of the way in this manner. And if you want to soothe the ego, the conditioned self a little bit, you could just let it know that it's just for this half hour. And if it wants to come back into control at the end of our meditation, it can do that. But right now we're practicing seeing what our experience of life is when we let go of control. When we let the details come and go in their own time, in their own way. We give everything the benefit of the doubt. And then in time, it begins to feel like we are a little bit further away like we're sort of leaning back out of our experience a little bit. That there's no grasping or hyper attention on the details. That we're more observing, but in a very intimate way. The fullness of our moment. And then the third invitation is to notice what's noticing. So as the awareness kind of comes back a little bit and becomes more of a sense of observing, of being a perceiver of the details, now we have the perceiver and the perceived. And so, what is it that is noticing the details of thought and sense and sensation, and feeling, sound? What is noticing that? Just from your own felt sense. Because when we land in presence, there is a felt sense to it. For one thing, we tend to feel more relaxed, more settled. We notice that there's more space in our whole experience. And that this space feels alive. When we are resting in and as presence, we also may notice that our heart feels softer, less protected. The outline of our physical body may begin to blur, where we feel like we extend beyond the skin, which of course we do as energetic beings. So we don't need to look for presence because presence is already here. We simply consciously allow everything that moves through, the freedom to come and go without our evaluation, without analysis. We have a genuine curiosity about what it is to live our moments from that place. So for the remainder of our time, I invite you to rest in and as presence as you align with that vertical stillness. Let things be as they are. And notice the radiant presence that is making space for all of it. All right.